I was facing a lot of sexual harassment in the corporate world. And then one fine day, I decided that I'm not going to quit job and sit back or get married just because I have nothing else to do. I wanted to respond in a very positive way and not be bitter about it. I started with a street theatre festival. And that's how I started my journey. And of course, it's been 15 years. I haven't looked back. It's not just DEI or sales training. It can be any learning program. But what is very important, are they retaining those concepts? We motivate our clients to allow us to bring street theatre, animated movies, cartoons, campaign-focused communication, something that leaves them with a beat in their heart that, I'll remember this. One size fits all doesn't really happen. Every organization has their own culture. The industry expertise, the domain expertise, then the content expertise, it takes so much of resource. Why women really need to catch hold of their finances is not because, it's in fashion. It should be done because it's a life skill. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow, and what if you need to support them when money conversation comes in? I think women just feel humongous amount of discomfort. I think that's what Be Your Own Lakshmi program does to them, that they start feeling comfortable. Indian workplaces can become the examples for the world because we have the maximum potential to become world leaders when it comes to inclusion and inclusive workplaces.
Welcome to Office Tales and People podcast. I have with me a very special guest today. She has not only broken many glass ceilings, but has been ahead of her times. She doesn't sit in boardrooms, but she's on the floor, impacting lives, making sure every voice is heard, seen, and empowered. Her voice is bold, brave, and beautiful. I have with me Shikha Mittal, who is the founder of a learning and development organization which has made a lot of difference by her interventions, and she is also my co-host at Office Tales and People podcast. Welcome to the show, Shikha.
Thank you, Priyanka, for inviting me to our podcast.
So, Shikha, you've been running this learning and development organization for many years now. And so what made you start and take this path at a very early stage in your life? And also, I want to know, what is that program, one bold program which you have run, which you feel makes a difference?
I don't think so. I have chosen Be.artsy. I think Be.artsy chose me. I only responded out of my anger. I was facing a lot of sexual harassment in the corporate world for many, many years. And then one fine day, I decided that I'm not going to quit job and sit back or get married just because I have nothing else to do. I wanted to respond in a very positive way and not be bitter about it because there was no point sitting back. I decided that I'm going to go out and do something about it. To be very honest, I didn't know I'm going to open up a learning and development company. But I was sure that I want to reach to the corporate world and raise awareness on sensitive topics. So if I was facing sexual harassment and I was unable to figure out what's my way forward, so many other women would be facing the same thing, right? So I was very clear that I want to go inside the corporate, but I didn't know how. And my medium was arts because I was a very artsy person. I was pursuing dancing, I was doing theater. All of this was happening while I was in the corporate. And before that, I was also considering arts to be my mainstream career. But I thought that I come from Delhi University and I had extreme exposure of street theater, dancing, stage theater. So I really studied hard on which medium should I pick up. And I think street theater, when I learned that it's the only medium that engages sixth sense of human beings, at least in India, I'm talking about available mediums. I said that, okay, I'm going to use this, but I knew that I don't have a project in my hand. And how to build my network was I started with a street theater festival. And that's how I started my journey. And of course, it's been 15 years. I haven't looked back. But if I have to answer your other question, which is what's my bold program? I think it's happening from last 2-3 years that I have been doing bias training for leadership. And to tell leaders that they're biased is like so scary. You're very you have to be very cautious. But I think because my mediums in terms of delivery is very artsy. We use street theater, we use animated videos, we use movies, we use case studies which are also very fun. We make sure that any activity that we use to communicate sensitive topics, as sensitive as telling that the leaders are biased, we have to make it very light-hearted. And that's what I've been doing, that whenever I do bias training with leaders, I make sure that they don't feel called out. I make sure that they are part of a group where all of us together understand, first of all, what is a bias, and then open up genuinely as a group that we all have biases, and how can we deal with biases is something that I think the boldest thing that I've been doing in my learning and development journey so far.
So, Shikha, here comes the next one. You're known for your work in POSH and in DEI, right? And more on inclusion and equity. How do you go beyond the checklist and actually make sure that it's impacting and shifting mindsets in organizations?
So, Priyanka, whenever I write content, what we really make sure is that, of course, compliance is to stick to the law, and we will cover all of that. But how can we make sure that compliance is coming along with connect? Without the connect, there is no point talking only about compliance, because only compliance doesn't shift mindset. It's the connect with the people. Why are we talking about it? Why are we talking about it now? Why do we need to address such topics in our workplace? I think till the time our audience will not connect with the topic, we will never be able to leave that impact. And that's how we make sure that our programs are very unique. Make sure that when we walk out of the room, we leave our participants with some kind of genuine human touch and connect that helps them understand, ponder, ask many questions, and also leave that impression in their brains that they will not just say, oh, we had another training. They will say, oh, today's training was something that will stay with us.
And I've, of course, experienced that myself
Yes.
when you've run programs in my
Yes.
organizations. We've got enough feedback which says that, this is something now has shifted. Something has shifted in me and it's made a difference. All of us know that DEI programs, all organizations do. What is your approach to curating these programs which makes it real and relatable?
So, Priyanka, I think whenever it's not just DEI or sales training or effective managerial skills training, it can be any learning program. But what is very important in today's time for people is that, are they retaining those concepts? So, if we are going to take a usual approach of a PPT, put some slides, talk to them, it's a one way medium, right? It's very boring. We're not just going with the slides, we are making sure that we motivate our clients to allow us to bring street theater, animated movies, cartoons, a lot of campaign focused communication. Like, for example, for our posh in interventions, we usually have so many campaigns. One of the most popular ones is "It's Not Okay." Like that for DEI, in manufacturing units, how do you talk about DEI? So we have a campaign called "Zara Hatke." Very recently, we have devised another campaign called Never Again. Likewise, for whistleblowing or for very compliance driven communication campaigns, also, it has to be something that leaves them with a beat in their heart that, oh, I'll remember this. So I think when we weave our entire communication to campaigns and use methods like street theater, animated movies, posters, WhatsApp communication through inspirational videos that we design through movies, and role plays and case studies which are very relevant to the specific industry and organization, I think combination of all of this makes any program stick to its participants, and they will always remember that, okay, I have seen this, I have heard this, and I remember this. And that recall factor is one of the prime things that we really focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not just communication, communication, communication. It's also the median of communication
Absolutely.
that
Medium
is
is the
important.
prime. It's
Absolutely.
the prime.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So, Shika, on the next one, content is very important when you talk about learning and development or any OD interventions in organization. What has been your approach to content development?
How we need to design content, there are a couple of things that we have to keep in mind. One, if we are designing something linked to manufacturing unit, we BRCs always followed this one thing, that not just domain experts. So let's say a DEI or a POSH or a managerial skill or a sales training, we will have that domain expertise definitely when we are designing the content, but we will also have the industry expertise. So if it's a cola company, if it's a coffee company, we will have somebody during the content development to make sure that we are not doing something absolutely offbeat and something that doesn't really work for that organization or industry. So the industry expertise, the domain expertise, then the content expertise. Now, if you're designing theater or if you're designing slides, if you're designing movies, everything needs to be done with expertise and not just randomly, right? So it's a team effort. It takes time. It takes so much of effort, it takes so much of resource, and together when we put all of this in one place, we make sure that the content comes out extremely well and relevant.
Of course, I completely understand where you're coming from, Shika, and I've experienced that as well when we did it at Tata Coffee and, we did it for the plantations
Yeah.
and how specifically you went into, what is relevant.
You remember people were taking our autographs,
Yes,
and
yes.
how women
And
came, cried,
and pictures
hugging.
and yeah,
I know, like I
as
will
if we
never
were
forget.
some celebrities.
I know, like, I will never forget Tara Coffee in my life.
Yeah.
It is one of the most heartfelt project that you made me do. I'm really proud of you to have done that with me, and I'm very excited that I have that memory for the rest of my life.
So, by the way, Shikha, I love your program, Be Your Own Lakshmi. I'm a great fan. But I want to understand from you, why do you feel that financial literacy is critical for gender equity? And why should women understand investing and not leave it to somebody in their family to do that for them?
Why women really need to catch hold of their finances is not because, oh, it's in fashion. It should be done because it's a life skill. You do not tell somebody else to eat on your behalf. If you're hungry, you will eat. It's just the same. You cannot leave your financial decisions on your partner or father or somebody else. Why? Because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow, and what if you need to support them for some reason? Are you well equipped to understand money? It's very urgent for every woman to be their own Lakshmi, because once you start earning, you feel this new freedom with lots of money, and you start spending. I've done that, and I have made that mistake in my early years, and I've learned that what if I started investing at the age of 19, 20? Today that money would have compounded so much and would have supported in my entrepreneurial journey. I don't want women to lose this opportunity to compound their money and have the privilege to plan their retirement at the time when it will multiply the maximum during their early years, right? So finance is, I think, one of the biggest tool for a happier, safer, and more fulfilling life.
Absolutely. And it's actually not rocket science, right? I've done the program with you and you make it so simple. So I
Yeah.
think it's not such a big deal.
I think what is important is not to talk about products first, not to talk about mutual funds, stocks, this and that. It really makes everyone, not just women, but everyone very overwhelming. It is important to understand money from the psychological point of view and get understanding of money from the very nuance of it, and then slowly and steadily start learning about mutual funds and
Where to
stocks and
invest.
what to do with money, how to also save, how to create a emergency corpus, what is insurance. All of this will come slowly, but first of all, get equipped with everything to do with money as psychology.
And be comfortable with it.
I think that's what happens when money conversation comes in. I think women just feel very humongous amount of discomfort I've seen amongst women, and I think that's what Be Your Own Lakshmi program does to them, that they start feeling comfortable that array rocket science nahi
नहीं
hai,
है.
and we can truly do this on our own. And once that kicks in into them, they are independent.
So, Shikha, here comes the next one. I want to know from you, what is that one myth that just completely drives you nuts, which people you feel just don't get it about diversity and inclusion? And how do you bust these myths in your programs?
So, of course, one of the things that I think I've noticed often is that DEI has been kept as a good to have program. And not all organizations embrace the idea that DEI is directly linked to revenue. I think that is something that leaders know very well, that if in the organization the culture is not inclusive, if people are discriminating amongst each other, the revenue will be impacted directly because they are not working in tandem with each other. There is no in sync with each other in terms of their ideas, philosophy, and how will they go run together? How will they be a team together? It's directly linked to revenue. And I think when we do the leadership DI programs, what we really make sure is that we showcase the entire impact through case studies. It's sort of a mirror. Whenever we do a program, we make sure that they truly get the idea that if the organization is inclusive, everybody is in sync with each other, they understand that they are diverse people, yet they need to embrace each other for the the diverse perspective that each one of us brings can actually enhance our outcomes. Once they start believing in it is when they understand that actually DEI is not good to have, it's a must have program. Inclusion is the answer when it comes to designing leadership programs or even culture programs across the organization. It is going to be the way forward in the coming times.
Absolutely. I think many organizations are getting there.
Yeah.
And inclusion is also, of course, now not going even beyond, right? It's not only women.
Yeah.
It's about all the different kinds of people who you can bring together.
Absolutely.
That's what brings in those diverse ideas and therefore makes a difference. You talk about equity and equality. And, that had a very deep impact on me. We were talking about financial literacy, and then you spoke about these two terms. I want you to explain that once again.
Most of the time it's very misunderstood, and people understand equity to be equality only, but equality means, in the very raw terms, it's 50-50. What is equity? A lot of times it cannot be 50-50. For example, if I can't walk and you can run, and if I've been given the same kind of shoes that is being given to you, it's not going to give me that support because I can't walk due to some pain, or let's say I've got hurt and I need some kind of support system to walk. Now, I can't take the running shoes being given to you and feel the same support where I need a walker to walk. That is equity.
Right. So you're saying that equality, the person is thinking that the same shoes has been given to both and therefore they are being equal.
Correct.
But actually it's not helping.
It's not helping. So never think that the two resources given to two people makes these two people's resources to be equal. No. Resources will always be customized is when they will actually have the equity. What is equity? That equity in a company. How do we get equity in a company? We get equity in a company when we pay certain amount, right? Now, is that amount always equal paid by investors? Of course not. They get equity based on their share.
Right.
Similarly, when equity, we are understanding equity in its raw format. Equity is when resources given to a certain person is based on their own requirement,
Right.
their own need.
So, Shika, I have a last one for you. Okay. If I give you a magic wand today and say there is one change that you can make to Indian organizations to be able to make a difference to the companies on diversity and inclusion, what would you do?
I went to this garden, Kokkenhof Gardens in Netherlands. Priyanka, when I went there, I saw wine colored tulips with white colored tulips with yellow and red and pinks, the colors that I've never imagined in my life. Now, when I was seeing all of these colors together in one specific area, sharing the same soil, I really thought, yeah, why people are fighting in this world, why people are not including each other and growing together. If you were to ask me what will I do, I really want to take all of the leaders of all the organizations who are, in interacting with me. Let's go to this garden together and see how, when very carefully crafted tulips can grow together in spite of their species to be different, their colors to be different, how amazing they can be, and in fact can become world's most beautiful botanical garden.
Yeah.
I mean, organizations can become so beautiful. In fact, why are we not learning from nature is my question often. I'm ready to take everybody to Kokonov. Of course, they will have to pay for themselves. Indian workplaces can become the examples for the world because, of course, we have too many issues to deal with, but also I think we're one of the few people who can coexist with so many diversities,
Yes, so many.
religion, caste, color, creed. Everything is so different,
Yeah.
and we
State,
can
food, language,
language, what
everything.
we
Yeah.
wear, how we look, the color, the hair, everything is different. And still, we can coexist so beautifully for so many years, centuries. I think we have the maximum potential to become world leaders when it comes to
Inclusion.
inclusion and inclusive workplaces.
Fantastic.
That's my answer.
I think it's a beautiful answer and a good fitting end to this lovely podcast. It was great having you here, Shikha, and I had a lovely, lovely time having this conversation with
Thank
you.
you, Priyanka, for even giving this idea that you and I should do the podcast. So I'm really happy that you gave this idea and I'm very excited about it. Thank you.
So that was Shikha Mittal with me, and I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I loved it. Please comment below and let us know. I'll be here soon with our next guest, along with Shikha, giving you some more candid conversations on Office Tales and People podcast, as we call it OTP.